Hey, my name is Brian Hogan. I'm your host for today with Rethink with Revitalist. This is a Revitalist podcast, and I am with Alexis Hornbuckle. She's here to talk to us. Another one of our athletes that is just an amazing athlete that is transitioning to, talking more about mental health, talking more about nutrition, something that they already know a lot about, but dealing with it in this kind of newer realm with Revitalist. So Alexis, how did you meet Katie? How did this whole relationship get started?
Oh man, how did I meet Katie? I was introduced to Katie by Derek Furlow, aka my guy D-Lo.
It's the second time I've heard about him today.
D-Lo? I call him Mr. Knoxville, okay?
Yeah,
You'll hear a lot about
everybody?
Derek Furlow. Yes, yes, and his story is amazing. But D-Lo and I were in school together at the same years, as was Vince. And he's like, look, Lex, I want you to check this out. It's a good opportunity. Tell me what you think. I'm going to get you connected. This clinic. I'm like, I don't know. Just because of the stigma, even though I had already started, having my own therapist, having that consistency built up there and building that level of comfortability to be able to talk about it, right, or see someone. But moving back to Knoxville, I was still a little leery, how people might see me, the Lady Ball fans and all that stuff. So I was a little hesitant at first, but one thing about Derek is he's always going to put you in a great position. He's always going to put you point you in a direction that he knows will benefit your life. And I don't mean that monetarily. I mean that more just as a whole.
Yeah.
So
where he felt like you fit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He sent me the link to the website. I checked it out. Had no clue what ketamine was. None whatsoever. I'm reading.
Not a lot of people do. I was talking to Candy about that, Katie's assistant Candy. I was talking to her about if I walked over to Walgreens right now and I just grabbed everybody in there and said, what's ketamine infusion therapy? How many people you think would be like, oh, I know exactly what that is. Here we go.
Probably not
a lot.
Probably not a lot.
And that's what we're here for,
And it's even questionable to wonder how much the pharmacists or the people that work at the Minute Clinic actually know about it, because that's not a traditional.
Physicians that don't know that much about it.
That's wild, really.
Isn't it? Yeah. Oh yeah. On a daily basis.
Yeah. And I think that's a little scary because it helps. It's very beneficial. Yeah. I myself went through ketamine treatments after I.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I did the 6 sessions. It was great. Did it at the Revitalist Clinic out in West Knoxville. My therapist was amazing, Becky. She did an awesome job because the way they do it is you have a therapist sitting in there with you. Yeah. And not all ketamine infusions or treatments are like that. Sometimes they put you in a room, give you some headsets.
The medication.
They give you a headset and it's playing like some music or something like that. And I'm not saying that those methods don't help, but what really helped me was being able to talk through this intense therapy and these intense things that are coming up. And actually being able to channel it properly. So once I got past the stigma, looked up the website, I told D-Lo, let's make it happen. I was still living in North Carolina at the moment. He said, hold off. I think we did a Zoom meeting once, and then kind of put together a preliminary athletic advisory board. Okay. And that was the first time I got to sit in with the Revitalist team and the other athletes and actually dig a little deeper into it. And I know for a fact by the end of that session, I was raising my hand to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, you're like, I'm here for it.
All of
it to me.
All of it.
So what, when you were going through that experience, when you're going through treatment, that's the scariest thing, right? A lot of people, when they hear about this type of therapy, they don't know anybody that's done it.
Right.
None of their family members have tried it. And so it is kind of a scary thing. It's not like going to the doctor and, I need surgery on my knee, right? You can talk to 20 people that have had knee surgery, right? And so that aspect of it, how did you overcome that? It's kind of out there.
Well, it came down to me continuing to do my research after asking all of the questions that, I possibly could think of to ask.
Right.
And then just realizing, this is right in front of you, Lex. This is a great opportunity, not only to help others, but to really help yourself. And you can't help people the way that you fully are purposed to unless you do your homework. You do your work. You are self-aware. You know what keeps you balanced. You have, most of your ailments or whatever it is under control, right? Or at least understood. So I desperately wanted to understand, right? And then in the midst of the understanding, obviously you're going through the actual process of getting the ketamine infusions. So not only am I understanding, past trauma, thoughts, things that, whether it was childhood, teenage, when I was playing, whatever it might be,
Right.
being able to view it in a different light, respond to it in a different way, but receive it in a different way.
I like that.
So that now as I move forward, I don't receive the fear. I receive the notion of what actually happened, what was meant to happen, right? And I'm not saying every question gets answered, because I don't want people to think I do ketamine and every question I ever had,
Right.
as far as my trauma and stuff is answered.
We're very much about tempering, expectations with, right.
Yes,
exactly.
yes, because that's important. But you also have to be willing to do the work. And I think, number one, I was willing to do the work, right? So after doing my own research, and Katie was amazing in answering any and every question that I possibly threw at her, and so was her team. But sitting in that chair, my first ketamine infusion, I did not buy into it fully. Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, I was still nervous, skeptical.
Yeah.
What's it going to feel like? Am I going to be crazy after this type thing?
Did you have kind of that dissociative feeling that first
Do
time?
you? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It wasn't as...
Some people don't have that very first.
Really?
treatment.
Yeah, I did. It wasn't as intense as, the continued treatments were, but that's where they find your levels.
Right.
They find out,
that.
do you need less? Do you need more? Did it keep you the same? My thing was, it puts you in what Katie calls Oz, right? And you're basically in this disoriented state, disassociated state, and all of your subconscious thoughts and pains and traumas that you try to suppress are now coming to the surface.
Right.
Right. And so if you don't completely submit to this process, you are consciously blocking your subconscious. Right. So how can I get the full effect of this therapy, of this treatment, if I'm having a battle with myself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
That it's something that works pretty rapidly for people, and that's another kind of positive aspect about these kind of therapies, and the fact that the actual side effects of a therapy like this are pretty limited. You're able to go back and go to work the next day or do something that you need to do, and especially for an athlete, making sure that you can work out, you can do those things. But on that kind of results side of it, when did you start to notice the changes, from the medication? You said it wasn't really initially that very first day.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Was it soon after that?
I would say after that second treatment, and I was doing twice a week.
Okay.
So after that second treatment, I really kind of just relaxed. And the first day I went there, I was actually supposed to have Becky as my therapist. Something happened at home; she couldn't make it, so they gave me the option to come back or start with a new therapist, and then we can switch over the notes and do all that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, a part of me wants to do it 1 through 6 with the same person.
Right.
Right.
You felt comfortable with Becky that first day.
Yeah. So it's like, I want to do that, but I'm here. And if we don't start today, I don't know if I'll really make time to come back in.
Yeah.
Or will I punk out?
Yeah. That's one of those things. It's like we were talking about that a little bit earlier on another podcast. Was like when you looking at your running shoes. It's like, how long are you going to stare at them before you put them on and you go out that door? Yeah. And if you're not there and you're not, if you can't go at that moment, sometimes you won't go on the next moment.
Yeah. And it's just, I was in that point where I said, I'm here, I'm focused, I want to do it, let's do it, we're going to knock it out. So I think that was another reason too, I'm just the type of person, like I know in my mind, I'm going to start with this person, but what if they see something in me or for me, and then I go and I start with the person I'm supposed to have as my therapist, right? And they see something different, or they're telling me something different. Consistency is key, right? And no matter whatever it is that you do, but especially if you're talking about a healing process, or since I'm an athlete, if we're talking about recovery, right, from injuries, the consistent work that you do will determine how quickly you do or don't get back on that court, right? So it's the same thing with your mental health, your physical health and your mental health. You still have to be consistent, right? So I was nervous that a part of me would be taking something that this therapist said and then this therapist said. Now I'm mixing it, and is this an emotional mix, or is this the medicine and the treatments doing its own thing?
Right.
It's just going to be too many questions at first.
Right.
So I was
when you
really
put a
nervous.
lot of different things into one pot, you're like, was it the therapy? Was it the
especially when you struggle with anxiety and depression. So anxiety really kicked in at that moment for me. Oh shit. It's going, 1,000 thoughts are going through my head.
Yeah.
And it's like, calm down, trust God. I'll usually say a few scriptures to myself.
Yeah.
Don't be anxious or worried about anything, but in all things through prayer and supplications, give thanks unto God. Like, let your requests be known, right? And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding of men, will be with you. Instantly, I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's get it done.
You put yourself in that meditative state, and prayer is like that for a lot of people,
Yeah.
to get you to that kind of zone you need to be in to calm that anxiety, to kind of bring things down and be able to have those treatments be more effective for you.
Yeah.
So, we talked a little bit about athletics and stuff, but let the people out there know a little bit more about you, about kind of what your history is with athletics. And then, anything else you want to put in, we'll take it from there.
How much time do we have? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, so I started playing basketball when I was 4 years old, and soccer.
Yeah.
So organized sports, like on a team since I was 4 years old. No looking back after that. Fell in love with soccer first. My brother played basketball. My dad used to play. My uncle's coach, cousins played. All that good stuff. Sister played. All that. So I was always a part of it because I wanted to do what my older brother did. I wanted to do what the family did when we're all hanging out and everybody's playing basketball. But I love soccer. Probably around age 8, I realized, oh, shoot, I'm pretty good at basketball. We win the first, it's called YBOA, Youth Basketball of America back then, national tournament down in Florida. And we were the first West Virginia girls team to win, from the state of West Virginia, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is it. I'm sticking with this, right?
You're a part of that.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not as bad as I thought I was. And then so that progressed obviously into, youth basketball, youth soccer, played travel soccer, all that good stuff. Around 6th grade, I watched a documentary on Pat Summitt and the Lady Vols, the Cinderella season. I believe it was in 96. And she was making them run, throw up, and do all this stuff. And I'm like, Dad, that's where I'm going. That woman's crazy. I need to get there. So since 6th grade, I started bleeding orange, never looked back. Obviously committed to the University of Tennessee. Played 2004, 2008.
You can tell by our wonderful studio here.
I love all of this orange that I'm looking at.
Close.
I love all of this orange that I'm looking at. But played for Pat Summitt 2004, 2008, won 2 national championships there, 3 SEC titles. Still hold the steals record there. Then went on to play 6 years in the WNBA.
Yeah.
Drafted number 4 overall to Detroit.
That's amazing.
Championship there. Still currently the only female to win both NCAA and WNBA in the same calendar year in 2008.
That's awesome.
Then won another one in 2013 with Minnesota Lynx. That was their first championship before they went on to win 2-3 more. And ended that basketball career with 11 years overseas.
Okay.
Moved back, or I was in North Carolina coaching. I've coached high school, private school. I've done middle school. I do camps, clinics.
Yeah.
I have private clients. Then obviously I come here thinking I'm going to do basketball full time still, camps and clinics and stuff. God works in mysterious ways.
Yep, he does.
Katie just started, amping up. You know how fast she moves.
Oh,
oh my God,
quick.
she's lightning quick. She has an idea, and I promise you,
podcasts I've done. So. It's only been a couple days.
You're right. Oh, she's gonna
sorry out there for the production quality.
Oh man. Listen, Katie says I got an idea, and then it's manifested.
We're here.
Yeah, that's what it goes.
Yep.
And so that clearing up some of my schedule to be able to do some things for Revitalists and Ketamine Media. In the process of recording my documentary via Ketamine Media.
That's awesome.
Doing things in the community with X-Hunger, helping to end hunger in America. General manager at Billy Ratliff's Tap 40 Grill, off in Powell, off Exit 112. And I haven't even really had time to be in the gym.
You're not settling down. There's just
I just moved back.
I
just moved back. I feel like
you didn't take any time off, it feels like.
I feel like I did in the beginning, figuring it out, what's what and where to go. And I did spend a lot of time in the gym, and then everything just kind of flipped, you know. And typically I feel like I gravitate back to the gym, back to basketball.
Right.
I have to be around it. I have to do this. I've been at peace with everything that I've been doing. I don't find myself saying, I didn't have time to do this. I didn't have time to do that. And
how do you feel like when you leave that, when you've been this elite athlete for years and years and years, and you leave that, and some of those things, like, my nutrition was taken care of. It's
everything.
Some of these things, I mean,
Yeah.
you had a whole team of people behind you making sure all those things were taken care of. What is it like now? What are some of the things that you do to keep that up, or to?
Well, full disclosure, sometimes I don't keep it up the way I should. I definitely enjoy living the retired life from time to time.
Yeah.
And when I say time to time, it literally probably goes anywhere from like weeks to months. Like I'll go and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to eat whatever I want. I'm not going to work out. I'm going to, sleep in. I'm going to do this, do that. And that would happen for months. And then I'll go back and all of a sudden it's like, oh, Lex, you don't want this no more? Nope, I don't want that. I'm not doing that. I got to go work out. It just comes and goes. It doesn't, I guess because pretty much all of my life, I just turned 36 and I've been playing sports since I was 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's all my life.
Yeah, that's your whole life.
That's my whole life.
Yeah.
So I don't feel as motivated to be on a schedule or a regimen now.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know my body more than I've ever known my body. So I know, oh, nope, time to go back to making sure I drink that lemon water in the morning.
Yeah.
Time to go back to those apple cider shots. Time to cut out, the carbs or the fried foods, portion control, or do liquid in the morning and do a meal at lunch and liquid at night. Whatever it is, I know how to quickly get back there.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that I kind of play in that bubble. Even though I know as a whole it's probably beneficial just to keep a healthier lifestyle. But I think I'm having a rebellious period when it comes to that, right?
Yeah. It's your first time off. That's your whole life. So, when we're talking about, what Revitalis is doing out there and kind of how we're affecting the community, you brought up some of the things you're doing, for the local community. What are some things that you've done with Revitalis, kind of in that regard, to kind of benefit the community?
We did, I mentioned I do basketball camps. So I did my last basketball camp we actually did it with Revitalis.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and community change. So it was geared, obviously, towards the fundamentals, teaching basketball, helping improve skills. But in my camps, I always structure it so that you're growing and learning. Like whether that's quotes in each little session that we do, whether that's just a quote that we stick with at the beginning of the day, and I continue to reiterate it throughout the drills. And at the end of camp, give kids a chance to correlate what was said with what they did for the day. Yeah. So that's what I do on my own. They took it to a whole new level. So
I can't wait to hear about this.
Oh yeah, they took it. It was amazing though. Probably honestly the best camp I feel like as far as the flow.
Yeah.
The most efficiently ran camp with the most knowledge given.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So we did it. I broke it up into quarters. All right. We had stations for the drill work, and each quarter correlated with something from mental health and from the Revitalis team. So,
cool.
You could take it as far as really just knowing the fundamentals, being aware of why you're doing what you're doing, right? And I don't remember the exact quotes that we had for each quarter, but at the end of that quarter, tell the kids, go get your drink, circle back up, right? They circle up, put them on one side of half court. We have somebody from the Revitalis team speaking to them about why you were doing these drills.
I like that, and that's building, like you said, that knowledge base, not letting them get away with the physical aspect. You got to be thinking that whole time.
Right. Yeah. And not only that, it teaches you, now you're aware, right? Attention to detail. People don't realize how important that is, not just in sports, in life, success, right? Because a lot of people can kind of do what you do, but how many people can do what you do?
Right.
And a lot of the reason why you are great as an individual at whatever it is you're doing is because your attention to detail. It's not just your gift. It's the fact that you actually care about how you use your gift. So that attention is important. That why are we doing this is important. That automatically filters over to accountability, self-awareness, right? Self-discipline. So when you are disciplined, it doesn't hurt as bad. You don't want to quit. it's like a full circle thing.
I feel like I'm learning right now. I'm like, I'm like taking notes. I was about to start typing on my computer right there for a second. And that's something that's so great that you're instilling in that younger generation.
Yeah.
That when we were kids, hearing that, when I remember going to different camps, going to soccer camp, going to different things, and it was just like, go play, go do this. We had stations, we had, different things like that.
Yeah.
But really incorporating that next level and then involving mental health and making it, dropping that stigma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you start it early at that age, then that's what they'll know. And it's okay. See, we didn't know that growing up. Don't cry.
Right.
Suck it up. Walk it off. Get back in there. You're all right. And all the other sayings that come with, being an athlete, but really being an athlete back in the days, even way before me, it was pretty hardcore. You know what I mean? Because, I was a multi-sport kid. I did track, soccer, basketball as far as like middle school and high school. As far as just playing with your friends, anything that got us running around, right?
Yeah.
And, of course, if you're playing football on concrete, you're going to have some injuries. Well, you wanted to do it, you're out there, suck it up, or come in the house and you're done for the day.
Right.
So you're learning at an early age to
kind of block
ignore
that out.
Ignore pain.
Yeah.
It starts with physical.
Right.
But that quickly filters over into the mental because emotionally you want to cry. Emotionally you want to yell, you want to scream, whatever it is, and you're taught to suppress it. So now everything else that you do, you're thinking about that. You're in training in a sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're literally being trained like a little soldier for athletics.
Right. And bringing that up, kind of that mental game that's going on with COVID-19, still going on. We still have all these issues with it and everything. And seeing what that's doing to athletes and athletics. Last year, a lot of seasons were truncated, and different things were done. What have you seen kind of in the athletic community still going on today? Is there still as much stress involved, or is it something that,
Complete 180.
Yeah.
Complete 180.
This year seems a lot different than last year.
Yeah. Well, I think, I don't know. I don't want to sound bad, but I think it's a lot more coddling happening from coaches, athletic trainers, strength and conditioning coaches. And it is because now there is more awareness of mental health and what it does to athletes. So they're trying to motivate their athletes, push their athletes, but they're also trying not to break their athletes. Whereas I'm used to playing for coaches and people that break you down to build you up.
Right.
But the only thing we were missing was during that breakdown, where's that help? Where's that resource to help when we do build back up? Now we're strong mentally, physically, and emotionally. Yeah. Not just mentally. I can't even say mentally. Mentally from an athletic perspective.
Okay.
You're stronger. Right. But if you're talking about your personal mental health, you don't build that up because either they didn't know or they didn't really think it was a real thing. Yeah,
and those are two very different things. Yeah, and that's something that I feel like athletes are the victims of that. in all honesty, that we talk about mental toughness. They're mentally tough for that. For that sport, for that fight that they're in, for that basketball game, for that soccer match, whatever it is. Yeah. That's where the toughness is. But that doesn't mean that they're not struggling behind the scenes.
Yeah. And that normally shows in their personal life. Like whether that's they're fighting a lot. That was me. I used to fight a lot. Because I can't, when you're in court, when you're in practice, when you're in a training, you can't get so angry that you yelling and cussing and fighting your teammates and your coach. You can't do that. You won't be a part of that team, that program. That will no longer be a part of your life. So you can't do that. But when I'm out with my friends or if I'm at a house party and somebody makes me mad, well, this isn't going to affect.
Just unloading.
Yeah,
it's like
and
everything
that's not
that
good.
was built up over that day. Somebody just crossed you wrong, whatever, and then now it's coming out.
And it comes out.
Yeah.
But how many times do you see that with all types of athletes across the board, whether they're at a club, whether they're out, and unfortunately
not even just
domestic
athletics.
Yeah, no,
in people's personal lives too.
When you are
in business or anything.
Yeah, when you're programmed to be a certain way, the majority of the time, but you have all of these emotions building up. Right? Whether it's anxiety, depression, whether it's anger, whether it's fear, whatever it is, it's building. And you know for a fact that you can't just unleash it. Where does it go?
Yeah.
Where does it go?
It's got to go somewhere. And,
It's gotta go somewhere.
And that's where, effective treatments, effective therapies, making sure that we're talking about why we feel the way that we do, making
And
sure
not being
that,
afraid to do that.
Yeah. And when somebody does cross us wrong or something goes wrong, was it intentional? Never kind of lay on intentions what can be laid on stupidity or
Ignorance,
something else.
all
right?
the stuff.
Ignorance, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Never lay intentions on those things because most people don't mean to be harmful, right?
Right.
The majority, but so we've been talking with different athletes today and about kind of what you do. Outside of everything else, like when you get home, we were talking to somebody about, playing some Call of Duty, doing something else. Well, how do you kind of de-stress, on your own?
These guys are idiots.
Don't watch the peanut gallery.
Yeah. Even though they may be right. I don't know. Maybe not. But, I like to just honestly, no noise or I'll play 2K, but no volume.
Yeah.
I hear people talk all the time.
Yeah.
I'm around people all the time.
Are you doing the 2v2s like online or
No, I don't do 2K online because they like really good and I don't have time to like play. And ever since 2K,
I tried getting into it and
once they changed the buttons on 2K20, it just threw me for a loop. And I'm just not the person that really cares enough about gaming to finesse it the way that I did prior, 2K19 and below.
And it must be frustrating being somebody that can do it in person. You're not like I know how to do that layup, whatever, and then you're like sitting there mashing the buttons.
I do because that's what happens. I mash buttons. I'm like, I see this. That's not what I did. Travel, throw the ball over the backboard or something. But so I'm really not that great at it. I play it just to play it. After CP won in the WNBA finals, I went ahead and played with her, the Chicago Sky and the Phoenix. But yeah, that's what I do. I just chill. TikTok, I'll go through TikTok and I'll laugh for about 2 hours straight.
That's why I'm trying to get Katie to start a TikTok, a Revitalist TikTok. I don't think we have one.
I don't
gotta have something.
Do we?
Do we? Oh, we do have a TikTok.
There we go.
Never mind. I'm learning on the
I didn't know. I need to follow
I didn't know. I got to follow it.
I don't follow people though.
I don't actually have a TikTok, but my wife loves TikTok.
I watch it and I watch it for like laughs, pure entertainment. But I watch it a lot now. Just all like the Christian TikTok movement right now that's happening. I thoroughly enjoy that because normally on all platforms they kind of cap what you see on your timeline.
It's filtered or it's,
if you're talking about not if you're talking about religion, because that's man-made. But if you're talking about Jesus, like it's very filtered and there's some comedy in those Christian TikToks, and it's just like this is so true.
Like stuff you went through when you were a kid, like going to church,
or just like, or perceptions and then thoughts, and then like what's really happening in the Christians. Like I don't know, it's funny. So I like having my little worldly comedy, but I also enjoy funny. Christian TikTok.
That's great. Speaking of comedy, I've been like addicted to like Netflix and watching all these comedy specials and everything that are on there, and like it's just been nonstop, great hits on there. But like, what do you prefer? Netflix, Hulu? Which one are you on more often? Do you watch any streaming services?
I mean, I have Netflix, I have Hulu. For me, I don't really like watching TV. Like, if I'm going to get stuck on something, it's probably going to be either 2K or on my phone for a little bit. Yeah. And that's
then other than that, it's business.
Yeah, it's business or sleep, or I'm going to the restaurant or walking the dog. I don't know. But it's not, I don't really watch a lot of TV like that. Now, if there's a final series, if there are people competing or certain games or players or friends that I know of, doesn't matter the sport, I'll watch it. But that's the extent of it, to be honest.
So what we got into, we're going to kind of wrap things up now a little bit, if that's okay with you. But
absolutely.
What when we kind of break it down and we go into those talks about what we do in our spare time, it's always nice to have something else, right? Like therapy's great, treatments are great, but we want to know the people kind of behind the scenes, and that's really what it was. And we're glad to have you, Alexis, here to kind of break that down. We look forward to having you again.
Absolutely.
If you'd like to be on, and that's it for us right now. Again, my name's Brian Hogan. That was Rethink with Revitalist, a podcast that we're doing once a week. So check them out, and we'll have Alexis back soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.